That from even as a little child, I noticed her tendencies and her mannerisms were that of a little girl. For example, 2-year-old little girls will cover their breasts when they're about to take a bath. You know, it's just a natural instinct for them to do it. Little boys will cover their penis. Well, Gwen, at the age of 2, covered her breasts. And at that time, I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew that she was different. And I mean, as the years went on, of course, I thought myself that my daughter was gay. Like I said, I never knew anything about transgender or what it meant or anything, so I didn't label her as transgender. I honestly thought that Gwen was gay. But even if she was gay or transgender, to me it wouldn't have mattered, because this is the baby that God gave me. And my job was to unconditionally love this child, to teach this child right from wrong, not to judge this child, as a lot of parents do. So many parents of gay, lesbians, and transgender children, once they come out to their parents, throw them out like yesterday's garbage. I can't even begin to imagine my life without any of my children. I brought them into this world. How can I toss them out? How can I hate them? How can I be ashamed of them? I don't know, I guess I'm a good parent. Because from what I've learned, no, honestly, I'm not saying that, trying to be conceited about it. I'm being honest. I mean, I'm blown away by how many parents during this past 6 years that I've come across my journey, that they have done that. They've tossed their kids out. They want nothing to do with them. They're already ostracized at school, in society, but their home, their family, and then you wonder why they're on the streets and they're doing drugs or selling their bodies or drinking alcohol. We created that. We create that for them. And I want people to learn from my daughter's story. It's not for any of you in this room to feel sorry for me. It's to be educated. Because you know what? Gwen had dreams and goals and aspirations. She wanted love just like every one of us. And happiness just like every one of us. And you know what? She deserved that. But in one night, that was taken from her. Because these men played God and decided that she wasn't worthy as a human being to live in this world. And let me tell you that her death was a lot more horrific than what you've seen or read in a newspaper or seen on TV. They also hung my daughter. She also had post-mortem bruises on her body, which means even after death, they beat her. I viewed about 350 photographs of my daughter's body when they unearthed her from the grave and after her autopsy. And I would never want anyone in this room to ever, ever, ever witness photographs of your loved one the way I did of mine. This was a senseless, senseless death. It should have never, ever happened. She was a baby. She was 17 years old. She had her whole life to live. This is not contagious. You're not going to become a transgender because you hang out with somebody who's transgender. Oh my God. Everybody is different. It's time for this world to open their minds and their hearts and their souls and to embrace one another and to love one another, respect one another, and accept one another regardless of our differences, of our skin color, whether we're fat, whether we're skinny, whether you're smart, whether you're not as smart. Who cares? We're all human beings, and everyone deserves to live their life. I know this is a South. My family was a little bit afraid of me coming here because, you know, let's face it, it's probably the most ignorant for a transgender person to live in, or a gay or a lesbian person. And I said, you know what? That only lights a fire under my butt to come out here because they need it more than anybody. Because you know what? I didn't choose for my daughter to be transgender. You may have a baby that's transgender. It's not genetic. It's not hereditary. It occurs in one birth out of 900,000 and something, I don't know the exact, but it's 900 and something thousand. I didn't choose this. It could be you. It could be your sister's kid, your brother's kid, it could be your cousin, it could be your friend. You never know. And you would never know how it feels until you walk in my shoes. And I would never want any one of you to walk in my shoes. How hard must it have been for my baby to wake up every day and to be who she was? I give her credit. My hat goes off to her because for the last 3 years of her life, she lived as Gwen. And those were the happiest years out of her 17 years of her life. Yeah, I bought her makeup and her clothes. And you know what? When she was killed, I was criticized that I somehow caused and contributed to her death because I allowed her to deceive those boys. I shrug it off my shoulders because you know what? When my daughter died, I know that she left with mommy's love. And unequivocally, without a doubt, did she know in her mind and her soul how much mama loved her and still loves her. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I gave her unconditional love. We went camping, we went fishing, she did Little League, she did everything that a kid does. We went to church. There needs to be changes, and I truly believe that it starts from you. You still have your whole life ahead of you, for all of you university students. You have the power within you to create the change that needs to be created in the South. By being the examples and being the role models to your peers, your family, of being accepting of one another regardless of who you are. I'm labeled an advocate for the LGBTQ community, although I consider myself a humanitarian, because it's about everybody. It's about your world, and you need to take it back and make it a better place to live in. I know now when you watch the news, it's so sad. I mean, I don't even like to watch it. There's nothing good on the news. But I do remember when I was a little girl, which was a long time ago, and there was good stuff on the news. I want that back for you guys. Take this world back, but it starts one person at a time. And I firmly believe that with all my heart and soul that you have the power within you to make that change that needs to be created for your children and your grandchildren. I'm a grandmother now, and it scares the heck out of me that my babies are in this world the way it is right now. But there is hope, because since my daughter's death, there has been change. We changed the AB 1160 law that's named after Gwen, the Gwen Araujo Victims' Right Act. And in California, you can no longer claim the panic defense as they claimed in my daughter's first trial. Basically what that is they claimed that they panicked when they discovered that she was anatomically a male, somehow blaming the victim for her own death. If you ask me, that's ridiculous, and it's so obsolete in my mind. I mean, it is so old school. Well, it's gone. Unfortunately, it wasn't there and valid when my daughter's cases were at trial. But it doesn't matter, because thank the Lord for the future cases. They will never be able to claim that in a court of law. So there has been changes, and I'm now working on a hate crimes bill for California. These boys that killed my daughter were never charged with a hate crime. I think it takes an idiot to see, duh, it was a hate crime. If she had been anatomically a female, we wouldn't be having this conversation. To me, it was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, they weren't charged with that. So I don't want to talk forever because I do have a tendency of doing that. I don't know how much time I have, Kim, but I do want to. But I do want to. I'm sure a lot of you have questions, and like Kim said, there is no question that's stupid. And I do want to open myself up for a little bit of Q&A before the panel, that maybe about the movie or whatever, color of my hair, I don't know. Just raise your hand, and I'll do the best to answer your question. Yes.
I totally agree with that. Everything. Like, I feel like there shouldn't be you shouldn't panic in a way. But do you think, as a transgender person, now I can't particularly sympathize, but I understand how hard it is for them to come out. But do you think it's fair for them not to tell the person they're in a relationship with that they're transgender?
I think that you should always be honest. I'm a very honest person, and I raise my children that way. I mean, if you want to ask that question, I know it really leads to, should Gwen have been honest with these men? Well, then you should ask the question too, should these men have worn something on their head that said, I'm a murderer, be careful because I might kill you? I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I mean, she did have an obligation to. But keep in mind now, she was 17 years old, and these men